Hi, Phil.
Hey,
Happy
Mark.
New Year.
Happy New Year. Here we are.
Here we are, 2026, at the
Another
wane, we're
turn
at the
of the year.
waning moon, and we're going to do it a little differently today. We're going to talk about the new moon, and then each of us brought in a chart of somebody, and we're going to look at how we'll first talk about the new moon, then we're going to each talk about together two different people's charts and how the new moon, what we would do and say for them if we were them on this new moon. Because we're just, in Yiddish, we would call us a little bit of yentas, which is in a nice way, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we wish people really well, and we think that this is what I think. I'll say what I think, and then you can tell me what you think. I believe astrology can really help improve your life. And if you follow the way of the sky, you will have a happier, more peaceful life. That's what I would say.
And I would continue along that vein by adding that astrology is like a tool that allows us to ask better questions about our life experience, and in so doing, better understand ourselves and each other.
I love that. I love that because it's exactly true. It's a great tool. It just makes life so much more understandable. And I love the
And why
idea of
not?
asking questions because I think that's a great line. Just asking questions so we can understand ourselves better is it's beautiful. So it's great.
Thanks. And why not use every tool that's available to have more information? It's like having an extra layer of understanding about every aspect of life. It's consciousness. It's being more involved and attuned to consciousness.
Yeah, I like that. And I think what consciousness is, in my eyes, is where we are in the present moment, right? And this idea of being exactly where you are at this exact time. And I think then that's the only way we are conscious beings. So each moment, sky's a little different. Each person's born with a little bit of a different sky. And we're all here trying to work it out together. Not so easy.
It's not easy, and you say that so often, which is why I respect everything you have to say, because it, it, it's a tool to look at life more clearly, not to paint a picture that we would like to see, which would mean, putting a a, a more positive spin on things than are actually there. It's looking at things in a real way, but bringing your faith and your intellect to it so that you're not hoping or wishing or looking for something outside yourself, but you're looking at things outside as a reflection of your potential. So these things may be obstacles and blocks, and they may be frustrating. They may be full of tension and uncertainty and fear. There's all of those things, but they are not insurmountable obstacles. They are they're your environment. They're your landscape that you must navigate. You must take the journey. Why not have every possible tool available to you in your backpack to make that journey?
Well, Phil, you said it so perfectly, and I just have to share the chart now because Let me know. Are you seeing it full screen?
It's coming on. Yes, I see it.
I think what you just said was such a profound statement because that is how I saw this new moon. It's like what physical mountain are you here to climb? And that you have this new year, right? And that, in a way, I'm almost not seeing it as the new year until January 18th, which is the new moon. And this very real reality, right? Those words you were saying. And we're on this journey. And what's the journey you want? What do you want? Like, right? What mountain do you want to climb? And are you willing to look at what's real and climb that mountain? So I love what you just said because it's just such a it's perfect for the new moon. It's perfect because this is reality. This is it. Like it's not just, oh, tomorrow, just you're gonna win $1 million. Because the sky says that or a psychic says that. Yeah, probably not gonna win $1 million.
Yeah, and your metaphor of climbing the mountain is spot on for Capricorn energy.
Yeah, it's my
It's
favorite. It's my favorite line,
yeah,
right? It's my favorite. It's a great way to see if you're not climbing a mountain with Capricorn energy, and then you can see all this Capricorn stuff, you could be pretty depressed.
and it's serious business. It's like, you know what I mean? It's sobering stuff. This is where what is it? The metal hits the pavement or the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. Well, and I think so. I'll just explain for me what the new moon is. The new moon to me is a new beginning. It starts every month, every 30-day cycle. You're planting the seeds. I think for me, in a way, this new moon is how what I think if you use this energy for planting the seeds for what you want for the year, I think you'll have a very successful year. That's how I see this new moon. I don't know how you see the new moon, but that's how I use the new moon. And usually it's for a month cycle. I think since it is the beginning of this new year, we're in a new era. I think there's something so profound about really taking this moon seriously and setting intentions.
I was just going to say exactly that. Be serious about your intentions. Be very intentional. Yeah. Just focus. And once it's implanted in your mind, then do the work. The daily grind, let's say, because that has a lot to do with the Capricorn archetype as well, right? You'll get there, you'll climb the mountain if you put the work in.
Yeah, and I've been thinking so much about. First of all, it's amazing. Mars, Mercury, right? The sun and moon are conjunct, right? You have the Mars and the Mercury approaching it, and then you have Venus and Aquarius. I mean, the whole thing is so interesting, right? But what I like this statement. I think Stephen Forrest talks a lot about climbing the mountain, and I study with. That's the work I study, right? The evolutionary astrology. But to ask yourself, am I climbing the mountain, the right mountain, right? So, for instance, like, what am I doing with my time? Where's my energy going? And does that match with what I say I want? Kind of like, am I climbing the right mountain? Like, for instance, you just almost got jury duty. Oh my God, could you imagine that would not be the mountain you would want to be climbing for the new year?
Right. Exactly. And yeah, it did throw a wrench into the works, and I had to find a way to move forward. It required a lot of effort. I had to go to the courthouse 3 times. I had to meet with a judge. I had to go through the whole process to do it in the right way. I didn't take any shortcuts. I followed the rules. I was, I presented myself as an honest possible juror, and they let me go because of the circumstances that I was able to share with them. But I had to take it all step by step and be patient and patient and determined, and not get frustrated or overwhelmed or even fearful about it.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to not be fearful, because fear just, yeah, you can't get fearful. But I love what you said, is that you were patient, because I think with Capricorn energy, just in general, and I think what we're really meant to understand this year is, how do I have patience to not know exactly how it's going to all work out, but be as clear as I need to be. Something about being very clear, being straightforward, honest, right? And also being clear on what you want and what you don't want. There's something with, if we're starting the new year, and even Juno is in Capricorn, right? So it just, in relationships, being very clear. I'm going to guess you were very clear with the judge, or with how you represented yourself on what you needed. So what you needed,
That's right.
which is also like that Jupiter in Cancer. So Jupiter, though it's not, I mean, Jupiter in Cancer is within the opposition, and so of that new moon. So how important it would be for us to be clear on what we need for our own self, for our
Hmm.
own self. And it's squaring, I mean, it's squaring, it's not here, which is so interesting. It must just have the positive aspects on this chart. I must be just having the positive aspects, which I guess that's great. But I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. But so you have this new moon, and it's squaring Chiron, right? And it's, I think that Chiron in Aries is very, 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 it's direct right now. It's, you better figure out what you need. And if you don't, you could drown, literally,
Hmm.
right? And I think if you weren't very clear with the judge, I mean, and this is a great example. If you weren't very clear on what you needed with the judge, and you didn't speak up for yourself, would you be somewhere you don't want to be? So,
That's
is there
right.
anything you see? And I love this. I love that the Capricorn, I love that I love that this whole thing. So Mars, Mercury, the sun and the moon. What effort am I putting in? What discipline? What intention? Right? But it's also sextiling the Saturn and Neptune, about believing, and about putting your effort into believing in something bigger than ourselves, and trusting, and like letting go and surrendering. Right? And it's trining that Uranus and Taurus, which is retrograde still, and that's about the self. So I mean, we're really meant to understand ourselves better and get what we want as the Saturn and the Neptune go into Aries.
Yeah, this is, some astrologers call this a talent triangle, for good reason, because it does show potential here. And the apex, of course, is Saturn Neptune, which is rare and special, I think, because I think we're all going to be asked, especially as those planets conjunct in Aries. That's a major pivot point for everybody. But I think we're being asked to find a constructive way to manifest our values and beliefs. And to me, I think it's taking it out of the water realm of Neptune, of dreaming and wishing, and turning those dreams and wishes into faith that you will get it done. That's the Saturn, right? So it's almost like a transference of, I'm bringing my wish, I'm making my wishes, we're making our wishes real.
Yes. And I think what's so important is, I'm making my wishes real, but I'm going to make it concrete. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
put concrete effort into having my dreams come true. And also having, yeah, so just, I always say, have faith and move your feet, because you can't
Yes.
have faith and not, but also, before we actually brought up the chart, you were talking about consciousness. And I mean, this is a very conscious moment, right? This Saturn Neptune conjunction, but how easily it is to go unconscious. And so the lower side is to just wish upon a star and then think, it's going to come to me, and then be angry when it doesn't, if you're not doing the work that's needed. But I will say, I go back, I don't know why, I feel like, I don't know if you're not feeling this, but I don't know if people are talking about this, but the whole Saturn Neptune is, we're at this point, a pinnacle, right, where we're really finishing things before we go into the new beginning. But how you finish it will be how you bring it into the new beginning. And if you're numb, and if you're scrolling, and if you're doing things that are just not keeping you conscious, I think you're going to go into the next state very angry.
And probably not knowing it, not being able to put your finger on your anger, right? It could, because it's like you said, you're not fully conscious about it. So it's there, that energy is there, and it's demanding, or it's making you more aware that you need to do something about manifesting your wishes. And even if it's boring or dirty or embarrassing or fearful, all of those things, those are all Saturn qualities, you could say. But you have to get your hands dirty. You have to, and this is where I think you have to build up that faith to say, you know, I have this crazy dream. I don't know how to get there. I don't know how I'm at this point, but I want to be over there. And I don't know how to, there's no path. I don't see it. But that's where Saturn comes in and says, you just have to figure out your next step. You just, you don't have to look at, you have this faith that you will get there, but practically, what can you do? Can you write a note to yourself on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that.
One
You
step,
can,
one
one
step,
step.
one step towards what you think you want, right? So yeah, I say it like this. First of all, if you know where you're supposed to be, you're not really in the right place, because I don't think anyone's supposed to know where they're supposed to be. It's not supposed to be so clear right now. It's supposed to be a little hazy still,
Hmm.
right? So no one knows, if it's never been done before, how would you know how to get it? And I think we're at a point where it's never been done before. We're in a new era. So no one, that you don't want to, everyone knows they don't want to be here. They want to be over there. Everybody, right? But they don't know what over there means, because no one knows what over there means, because we've never been here before. We've never had a time when the outer planets, so, right, the outer planets have been in all new signs. You're looking at Pluto in Aquarius. You're looking at Neptune and Saturn going into Aries, right? You're looking at Uranus. It's going to leave Taurus and move into Gemini. This is a new era, and all we have to do, and it's going to take a lot of courage and braveness, and I think discipline, as you would say, discipline, and it's just one step forward. It's one step forward. So I think,
And I think what you mentioned, discipline, is the major thing that can get us through this really big shift. Everything will shift. Usually, when an outer planet moves into a sign, that's one shift you need to focus on. But what we're talking about is much larger. And I think focus and discipline and, you know, keeping steady and faithful to you will help you navigate all of this.
yeah, I think that's so great. This idea of staying faithful to you. We're at the end of this Uranus in Taurus, and it's retrograde now. It's going to go direct. And we have the last moments of this idea of like your values, who you are, how you need to feel safe, right? What it is about your body, right? You, and how are you authentically you? And it is, I think it goes back to, what do I need? What do you need? And we need other people, but if you're not healthy, you're not going to have healthy relationships. That's what I will say. So, so much about being taking good care of the last moments of taking care of our body in a way that could then be the vehicle that brings us, right? It's in a trine. It's the vehicle that brings us into that next place. So I love that. I think it's going to be a great film. Phil, I am very excited for this year. I think that I think for everybody, all your dreams can come true, even the dreams you didn't even know you had. So I love what you said, write it on a piece of paper. Maybe write out your dreams on a piece of paper. That's great new moon. It's a great new moon action. It's actually an
Mhm.
action, right? So that would be an action. And so Mars
Yes,
is take an action. Say it out loud, right?
yes,
Do one
because
step
you
and feel it. Like make sure you feel it. Make sure you feel what that feels like. And then
even
take a
even
risk
speaking,
because Venus
yeah,
is in Aquarius and do the unexpected. I'll say to you, just do the unexpected. Maybe shock people a little bit.
yes, and even speaking it or writing something down on a piece of paper, that's manifestation. That's bringing it into the real world. So you're not moving a mountain, but it could be the beginning of a mountain. So just take it out of the thought and dream world
But maybe
and
it is
make
a
it real.
mountain. Makes me think about it. Maybe in a way it is, maybe it's hard for us to actually say what we want. And by writing it would feel almost like a mountain because it could be hard to be honest with ourselves about what we want.
Yep.
It's very interesting. So I'm gonna actually, which card do you want to do first? Jim Carrey or Kate or Princess Kate? You call it.
Let's do Princess Kate.
Okay, so we're gonna see. I'm very excited, by the way. Let's see. So she's who I picked. Do you see it on the full screen?
Yes.
Oh, really? You see all of it together?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. The magic is working. It wasn't working before, Phil. I just had to let go and surrender. Again, so here, Princess Kate's chart is, I think it's the right time actually. So I think her chart is right. It would make sense because she will be the queen one day, Leo ascendant. And this is where the new moon is in her chart. And what I think is interesting is that I don't know so much about her, but I do know she was just very sick and she had cancer. And I believe she's in healing and she's healed. But it is interesting because the new moon is right on in her sixth house of her health and just how important it is for her to, I'll say, to do the hard work of her daily habits, like having boundaries around her daily habits and making sure she's really good to herself. This is, if I were her, I would say how important it is for her to have boundaries with herself and not giving so much away to other people and making sure she takes care of herself every day so that she feels good. And it might, maybe some people might not like, maybe think it's selfish, I'll say, or cold. But I mean, you're seeing Venus is going to now go on to her Mercury and her Venus. She's going to have a Venus return, which happens every, I think, 2 years. And so it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It matters what she thinks. That's what I will say.
Mhm.
So
Yes. Lots of self-care is
yeah, it's
indicated
hard.
there.
It's hard for her actually to take care. It's like I would think when you're a queen or a princess and you have this duty, right? The duty of everybody else. But it's so interesting, South Node duty. So in the past life, she had to work so hard, give all herself. And in this lifetime, she's supposed to take time, Cancer. She's supposed to feel, she's supposed to nurture herself. She's supposed to be the hermit. She's supposed to take time for herself and not make sure everyone else is okay, right? Fill her cup. Like it's a big lesson for her actually in this lifetime. And I'm sure she learned that when she got sick, actually.
Hmm.
Very interesting. What I also think was interesting is that she did get sick as Saturn and Neptune were going into her eighth house. And that is a lot of work on ourselves, right? To like look at our own inner stuff. Like our health has a lot to do with our own mental, right? Like what we feel and how we feel. And she's supposed to learn how to feel in this lifetime. Jupiter is literally today on her moon. Like she has to understand her feelings and like have compassion for herself. If she's
Yeah,
tired, she should listen to it.
and I think, that moon in that position, and especially now with the Jupiter, she, her people, her kingdom, let's say, is very much attuned to what she's going through. I think this illness gave her a deeper connection to her public, a, a public that is a lot more receptive to her as a result of this illness, I believe. So
Oh, interesting.
she's able to she's able to convey her in a very human way, in an emotional way, her experience. And I understand that she has done that. And that has made the people in her kingdom, let's say, closer to her, vice versa. There's a stronger emotional connection now.
Interesting. How yeah, and how surprised, and maybe people were surprised. I would think Uranus is going through her 10th house. Maybe people were surprised by her sickness, right? Surprised by that her body wasn't working, right? She has like everything and she was young. And so, and I think it probably shocked a lot of people. And when it shocked a lot of people, and what's interesting, she's going to go through her Uranus opposition. And during our Uranus opposition, we change a lot. We change a lot. And I think it's kind of we become more true to ourselves. And I loved my Uranus opposition. It wasn't always so easy, but I got more comfortable being uncomfortable, I'll say.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that I think that she should know how appreciative that people will appreciate her. And now what's so interesting, all these planets will go into her seventh house. So know that people love you, right? And if the people that don't love you, it's really none of your business, right? There's something about that Leo ascendant to really not care what people think. So,
Mhm.
is there any? So, if you were her, is there any advice you would give her?
Yeah, I think you pointed out something that's really interesting, and that is all these planets now shifting into her seventh house. So she will be more other attuned, I guess I would say, which would mean family and friends and her children. All of those relationships will become more dynamic, more involved,
Yeah,
for better or worse. Let's put it that way, because Pluto's in the lead here. So what it will be deep and transformative.
yeah, I like that deep and transformative. I think that I loved what you said is that the people reacted to her differently. And I think that's what I would say that that would be my advice for her. Do it your way and don't apologize for it because something if the more you stand in how you do it and you know it's the best the highest way, people will follow. People will be interested in what you have to say and just more than anything, take care of yourself. rest when you're tired, right? I love Capricorn energy in a sense because it's the parent, right? And it's like the wise one, but it's also the hermit, the need to like go inward and take time for yourself and have boundaries. So I'll say to you, boundaries are good for Capricorns. And and she's born on a full moon. Talk about somebody like I love this. I find so many famous people or people that we see out in the world, they're born with these full moons and they feel more than people. So be kind to people. Like just because someone's famous, right, doesn't mean that they're immune to be kind to everybody. Be kind. Teach people to be kind to you, I'll say to her.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Oh, so we're good with her. I'm looking forward to Jim Carrey's chart. I actually didn't even look at it before we came on, but I'm so excited to look at it because I love him.
He is extremely interesting person, and
Okay.
he's becoming even more interesting in my eyes. I don't know if you've seen him
Can you see
speaking
the
in
new chart?
public recent. I'm sorry.
Can you see the chart? Well, before you start.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay. No, I have not. Wait, tell me what you're going to say because I have not heard him or seen him.
He's become very philosophical and transcendent in his understanding of the world. I mean, talk about a person who is becoming more conscious. He is evolving to me in leaps and bounds, and he has some really important concepts to share with people. And what's interesting about him is that he's a funny man, and a particular kind of funny. He's physical and goofy and out there and outrageous. He's got that, Marx Brothers energy of, turning the world upside down, and which is great. But when you listen to him now, he is, and this is where I think his Capricorn is really showing. He's become very deep and profound in the way he approaches life, and what he's sharing it is inspiring to people. So, and I look at of course, his Neptune and his Uranus, both on angles, both playing an important role in his life. Neptune, of course, would be an indicator of him connecting with people on a deeper level. And I think the Uranus on the MC is definitely indication of how he appears in public, and that is, with this very manic energy, right? Anything could happen, that kind of a lightning rod. And I think because Leo's up there as well at the top, he's very much center stage and very comfortable there. He's very comfortable improvising, uh, talking with people and going off on tangents on talk shows. He's very much in control, even though he seems, you know, someone who's you can easily laugh at. He's a master at what he does.
Yeah, he's
So
he's
I
brilliant.
yeah,
And I think and I've watched like he's given like a lot of I think I've watched many of his graduation speeches. He gave a graduation speech a long time ago, and it was one of the most brilliant graduation speeches I have ever heard in my life. And I would say to you, I do think it's his Capricorn energy in the sense that he could be a great elder, right? And be somebody that is someone who is strong and steady and stable and somebody we could look up to, right? An authority. But I can't help but think how, look at that Aquarius energy and how the genius he is. And I love that you picked him because now we're going to have the sun and the right go into Aquarius energy in the next, but also Pluto is going to go into Aquarius, is in Aquarius, and that Venus is now slowly and quickly going to go through Aquarius. But God, he is a genius. And I'll say to you, he was a genius in his last lifetime too. And how he shares it out in the world is so important for us all.
It's so amazing that you mentioned that commencement speak because I watched it this morning. It was at Maharishi University in India, and
Oh,
it is
is it the old one or is it a newer one?
it's the one that has been seen by millions. It's 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 the Maharishi University. We should add a link to
Yeah.
this because it's so compelling, so powerful, so honest. I mean, he is you can tell by how he was presenting this that he is speaking from
Well,
his deep center.
I would say also I would say with Neptune Scorpio, with the Scorpio ascendant, right? We've been seeing a lot of Scorpio ascendants with actors and how they're able to take on different roles. It's really interesting, right? How many actors have Scorpio ascendants? They kind of like meld into other characters, which he was so good at. But with Neptune on his ascendant, it's almost like he's speaking from a higher place, right? From like a godly place and the truth. Like it's like bringing light to the truth. And that is Scorpio energy. And it's, it feels magnificent. And I also think what's so interesting of why you picked him is where Kate's new moon would be in the sixth house. His is in the third house of I am maybe this year, if I were you, maybe this year, really seeing yourself as a teacher, like right? Like how do you use your acting in a way or your skills to be on stage to teach us because we're here to learn from you. And I think that third house and being a friend and being a teacher and being someone that we see as we kind of like everyone likes him, right? And he has something to share with us. So I hope he shares it and he lets us see him this year.
Yeah, I think his Gemini moon is expresses the likability factor that you mentioned. But the other thing that I want to point out is that his transiting Neptune is sextiling the sun, and his transiting Uranus is trining the sun. So, like you said, he's a teacher, and I would just add on to that and say that what he's teaching is a download from the sky. When I think of Neptune, I'm thinking about, you know, lofty, otherworldly, lofty ideals, and Uranus, the sky god, just hitting him with a bolt of lightning filled with wisdom,
Well,
which
what's so
he,
interesting is, I mean, Gemini moon, you are a messenger, right? Let's like you just would say to him, you are a messenger, right? It's like he has a soul of a messenger, and it's in the eighth house of such deep stuff. So yeah, that I love that idea of that Uranus light bulb, right? Uranus is going to go into Gemini, right? And it's in the seventh house of relationships, but it's also other people, right? So how other people see him and letting that genius flow from him and not being scared of being seen, right? I think you have a north node. If he has a north node in okay, here was what I was thinking. He has a north node in Leo, and it might seem easy for him to be seen, but maybe it's not so easy for him to be seen because I don't think he's been in so many. It might be easy for him to kind of hide and stay away from the world, but we need him right now, probably more than ever.
I think he's using his Capricorn energy to do the work, the internal work, to to share his understanding. So I agree with you. I think he does have, there is resistance to his climb up the mountain, but he's got the goods, he's got the tools to do it. And I think he is going to continue to evolve. And so if I were you, I would say, Jim, keep going, but bear in mind that you might get into places where you feel alone because of the heights that you will reach. It might feel very alienating to understand that although you're a very famous person, you also have a deeper understanding about our interconnectivity and the importance of spirit. That might not be easy for the general public to accept right away. They might not go with you all the way as you make your way up the mountain, but you can bring them with you.
Yeah, like
But
I think of yeah, like they will follow. Do you remember the Forrest Gump movie where he starts running and the people just run after him and they're not like questioning why they're running after him? Like in a way I think they will follow. I know they will follow. That's what I would say to you. If people are high and they're doing things that are higher vibrational energy, they're doing things that are true, people will follow them. And so I would be interested to know if he writes and if he was like he could write a movie about life because it was so interesting to see his perspective through the screen. So movies teach us so much. So I'm wondering if he has such a heavy third house. If there's a writer in there.
yeah, again, it's I think he's reached a summit, but there are other summits ahead of him, and communicating is definitely a big part of it.
Yeah. And also being the guru, right? You have third house, he's been a teacher, but the ninth house is like him becoming the guru. And so I keep on thinking yes, he has all this genius. And the greatest gift we could give is to once we have it and we have all this knowledge to share it out in the world and make the world a better place. And he does make the world a better place. I mean, I think he always has actually. So he's made my world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people, I think, may he not feel lonely, I'll say to you, because there are people that would love that he's meant what a spiritual being. And I think he was meant to heal that Chiron and Pisces, that heal that spiritual side of himself, right? To really know he's godly. I mean, I'm joking but I'm not joking. We are all godly, but he's godly. Didn't he do a movie about this, like godly, about being godly? Am I making this up?
Mm, I can't think of one.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen as Uranus goes into Gemini because may it wake his need to just speak more out in the world to us would be the greatest gift. Because I've listened to stuff on YouTube of him over thing. I just don't know what he's doing right now. And do you know what he's doing right now, like in his career or with his life?
He's scaled back a lot of his work. He's not career driven as much anymore. He, I know that he had some death in his relationships, but that were pretty heartbreaking. And that was a few years
Uranus,
ago. But
yeah,
but
Uranus was going through his seventh house, so he would have maybe some things that changed his life in relationships.
yes. So those relationships changed him.
Well, you know, when I always think about when we go through hard times and we get through them, how wonderful it is to help other people get through them. There's a book in there, there's a movie in him, he's a writer, he's a communicator, and in some ways it doesn't have to do how he did it before, but he's meant to be seen in this lifetime. We're meant to see him. So, and Jupiter's going to be going in past his north node and then next year. So 2026, right? If he could share his beliefs with us, it would be a great thing. However, he does it in his own creative way, I'll say. That's what I would recommend for him. Is there one last thing you want to tell Jim Carrey? We love you, Jim Carrey. I love him. I love him.
So he's got all his inner planets or transiting inner planets. Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are transiting his sun at the moment. And of course, I mentioned the sextile to Saturn, the trine to Uranus, and the trine to Pluto. So there's a lot of support for you, Jim. You've got the goods you've always had. This is an especially ripe time, I think. So if I were you, I would really think about activating in some way, even in a small way, by taking a first step, those ideas that you have in your head that you always wanted to execute. Now would be a good time.
Amen. It would be a really good time. So this was fun. It was a different way of looking at a person's chart, also using the idea of the new moon, how it can be used in their lives, but how it also just is in our lives, right? This effort and the hard work and the discipline in whatever house it's starting for you in this year. So if I were you, Phil, if I was everybody, I would say have patience. That would be my greatest lesson for everybody right now is just have patience with yourself, most of all, and have patience with others, because I think people are doing the best they can. And even if we don't think it's enough, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my advice for everybody. And is there something that you would like to say if I were you?
Yes, if I were you, I would think about using this Capricorn energy to manifest. It doesn't have to be big, it can be small, but just to transfer those aspirations, those feelings, whatever it is that is part of your spirit, to make it real in some way with an affirmation or prayer, writing down a note. There's many things you can do to take that step.
Yeah, have your dream. I would say have your dreams become reality and ground them, right? And I think of like I always think of the new moon, and we're planting seeds. So what seeds, as you said, what seeds are you going to plant? Write it down, put it on a piece of paper, speak it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Share it with somebody. Share your wild dream with somebody. Speak it.
speak it. Speak it to the heavens.
Yep.
I do think that they're angels right now. I think that we have to believe that there's something bigger than us. So speak it out to the universe too. And may it be a great year. We'll have a great new moon and it's going to be a good year, Phil. I'm looking forward to see where this leads us, right?
Yeah, it's going to be big. Thank you.
Thank you. And please feel free to share anything that you think of the new moon and the new year. We would love to hear your views of it and anything you have. If you want to share something about Kate Middleton or Jim Carrey, we would love to hear. So, and we'll see you next time.